Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast, and welcome to your AAA Noche de los Grandes post-show. Now, if you guys are not familiar with AAA had a very, very big show this past weekend. Honestly, probably one of the best shows I've seen in quite some time. We had a mass versus mass match that a lot of people were talking about between El Grande Americano versus OG Americano, which we will talk about that in today's episode. We also have the AAA Cruiserweight title on the line with Laredo Kid defending the Cruiserweight title against Rey Fenix. We also have Dr. Wagner Jr. taking on Vikingo for the AAA Latin American title. We also have the AAA Tag Team titles on the line with Pagano and Psycho Clown defending the AAA Tag Team titles against the War Raiders. And then we also, like I said, have El Grande Americano versus OG Americano in a mass versus mass match as well. We'll talk all about that in today's episode. But let's start off the night, man. We have the AAA Cruiserweight title on the line. It is Laredo Kid defending the AAA Cruiserweight Championship against Rey Fenix. Now, I thought this was a great opening match. It was a back-and-forth matchup between Fenix and Laredo Kid, with Fenix keeping the pace of the match. Laredo Kid hits a corkscrew moonsault, followed by a Michinoku driver for a near fall. Laredo Kid then applies a Texas Cloverleaf on Fenix in the middle of the ring, but the hold is quickly broken. Laredo then takes off the turnbuckle pad. Laredo then applies another Texas Cloverleaf off the top rope on Fenix, but the hold is broken. Laredo Kid then hits a foot stomp for a near fall, but Fenix tries to get some offense in by hitting a crossbody for a near fall. Fenix then follows it up by applying an armbar on Laredo Kid, but the hold is broken. Fenix and Laredo both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Laredo going for a DDT, but Rey Fenix counters. Laredo then hits a Destroyer DDT for a near fall. Laredo then goes for a low blow, but Fenix stops him. Fenix then hits a rolling cutter for a near fall, followed by Fenix taking a page out of Shawn Michaels' book by hitting a Sweet Chin Music, taking out Laredo Kid. Fenix then goes for a Mexican Muscle Buster, but Laredo counters it. Fenix then finally hits a Mexican Muscle Buster for a near fall. Laredo then hits a low blow with the referee being distracted with the exposed turnbuckle. Laredo then goes to the top rope, hits a frog splash for a near fall. Fenix then sends Laredo into the exposed turnbuckle. This allowed Fenix to finally hit a Muscle Buster for the win, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match and new AAA Cruiserweight Champion is Rey Fenix. Hats off to Rey Fenix for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have a AAA Latin American Championship. It is Dr. Wagner Jr. defending the AAA Latin American title against Vikingo. Now, again, I thought this was a really good match. It was a back-and-forth matchup with Dr. Wagner Jr. keeping the pace of the match. Wagner then hits a power slam. Vikingo hits a foot stomp. Vikingo then hits a running shooting star press off the apron to the outside, taking out Dr. Wagner. Vikingo then goes for a top rope maneuver, but Dr. Wagner Jr. counters it with a super kick. Wagner then hits a splash for a near fall. Vikingo then gets up, hits a crucifix driver in the middle of the ring. Omos is here. He comes down to the ring. He attacks Wagner with the referee being distracted. This allows Vikingo to hit a Meteora, followed by a 450 splash for a near fall. Dr. Wagner's brother is here. He attacks Omos. Galedo then attacks Omos with a chair shot. Mini Vikingo is here. He attacks Vikingo. Omos then sends Galedo into the post. This allows Vikingo to hit a 630, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match and new AAA Latin American Champion is Vikingo. Hats off to Vikingo for getting the win in this matchup. And moving on from that, we have a AAA Tag Team title matchup where it is Pagano and Psycho Clown defending the AAA Tag Team titles against the War Raiders. Now, I thought this was a decent match. It was a back-and-forth matchup between both teams with Pagano and Psycho Clown keeping the pace of the match. Ivar hits a splash off the apron to the outside, followed by Ivar unloading devastating back elbows into the corner. Pagano then hits a springboard code breaker, followed by Psycho Clown hitting a code red for a near fall. Pagano then hits a leg drop off the top rope, followed by Psycho Clown hitting a frog splash for a near fall. Pagano then hits a senton through the ropes to the outside. Pagano then kicks Ivar's hand, and his hand ends up hitting Psycho Clown. Psycho Clown is taken out. The War Raiders end up hitting the finish, pins for the 3, and your winners of the match and new AAA Tag Team Champions are the War Raiders. After the match, you can see Pagano and Psycho Clown in the middle of the ring. It looks like Psycho Clown is pissed off at Pagano. Psycho Clown then pushes Pagano. Pagano and Psycho Clown are both face-to-face in the middle of the ring, but Pagano leaves. After that, the War Raiders attack Psycho Clown. Pagano then looks like he was going to go back to the ring to help out Psycho Clown, but instead Pagano then just turns around, walks away as Psycho Clown gets beaten down by the War Raiders. Some interesting stuff there between Pagano and Psycho Clown. Moving on from that, we go into the main event. It is El Grande Americano versus OG Americano in a mask versus mask match. Now, before I even talk about this matchup, man, which was absolutely fantastic, the way that Chad Gable OG Americano and El Grande Americano came out to the ring. From the aesthetics, from the crowd, I think there was like 13,000 people in Arena Monterrey. They were in Monterrey, Mexico. The crowd was awesome, first and foremost. Man, the crowd in Monterrey was absolutely outstanding. The way that, the production of this show, the way that we saw OG Americano and El Grande Americano come out to the ring. You had the mariachi bands. I mean, bro, the fact that you could see El Grande walking through the backstage area, going out to the stage, was awesome. It kind of really, honestly, it kind of gave off vibes of Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold Steve Austin when they're walking through the arena walking through the backstage area to get out to the ring. Had a lot of similar vibes to that. And then we get El Grande Americano. You can see him in the backstage area, in the locker room. He's got the jacket on. He's got the cowboy hat on. And once the camera pans over to El Grande Americano, man, that place erupts. It was just a great moment, man. I thought it was a great, from the camera, the way the cameras were set up and the way the production alone for this matchup, man, and just the build-up was absolutely fantastic. And we'll talk more about that at the end of today's show. But the matchup itself, man, it started off with a bang. OG Americano hits El Grande quickly with a guitar. The match itself was, like I said, a great match. It was a back-and-forth match. OG Americano was keeping the pace of the match after the guitar attack from OG Americano to El Grande. El Grande Americano and OG Americano both exchange, with El Grande Americano sending OG Americano into the post. El Grande then hits a Death Valley driver on the outside. OG Americano then sends El Grande into the steel steps. OG Americano then hits an inverted angle slam off the steel steps on the outside. OG Americano then starts tearing the mask of El Grande. El Grande then hits a white noise off the apron through a table on the outside. OG Americano then applies an ankle lock, but the hold is broken. OG Americano then hits El Grande with a piece of the broken table. OG Americano then follows it up by throwing a chair at El Grande. OG Americano then hits a suplex to the outside, but El Grande Americano then is now busted wide open. OG Americano then hits an exploder suplex for a near fall, followed by an avalanche back suplex. El Grande then hits a springboard blockbuster for a near fall, and OG Americano is busted open. After that, the Los Americanos Hermanos are here. They attack El Grande, with the Los Americanos Hermanos send El Grande through an announce table on the outside. OG Americano then hits a diving headbutt for a near fall. Rayo and Bravo are here. Rayo and Bravo then attack Los Americanos Hermanos. El Grande Americano then hits a blockbuster off the apron. And then we see a masked member of the mariachi band. Now, again, forgive me, I'm not super familiar with the names, all the names of AAA. But the mariachi member that had the mask on revealed himself. The crowd erupts and hits OG Americano with a guitar. OG Americano then hits a low blow. OG Americano then hits El Grande Americano with a bull rope, Followed by that, El Grande then hits a DDT for a near fall. El Grande and OG Americano both exchange, with OG Americano hitting a moonsault for a near fall. OG Americano hits El Grande multiple times with a chair shot to the legs. This allowed OG Americano to apply an ankle lock on El Grande, but the hold is broken. El Grande applies a submission hold of his own, but the hold is broken. OG Americano then applies another ankle lock, and the hold is broken. OG Americano then hits a German suplex into a pin for a near fall, but El Grande hits a running headbutt on OG Americano, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is El Grande Americano. After the match, you can see OG Americano and El Grande standing in the middle of the ring. OG Americano takes off the mask, and he reveals himself as none other than Chad Gable. Chad Gable then was standing there with his family, and Chad Gable said that he couldn't overcome the Mexican spirit. He lets El Grande know that no matter what, he will always be known as the original El Grande Americano. But after this loss, Chad Gable lets El Grande know that from now on, he will be known as El Grande Americano. A couple of things I want to talk about, man, when it pertains to this event before I get the hell up out of here. First and foremost, I want to apologize for the coughing, man. I'm still dealing with a cold for some reason. So I do apologize for that. It's just got that, weird cough going. So I do apologize for that. First and foremost, man, this show was incredible. A lot of people that I talked to, man, said that this show had a lot of resemblance to NXT Black and Gold. And when I heard that at first, I was like, hey, man, you might want to pump your brakes on that a little bit. But after watching the show, and I watched the show twice, it's hard for me not to entertain the idea that what we saw between El Grande Americano and OG Americano didn't have NXT vibes from NXT Black and Gold. I said this earlier in the show, man. The production value of this show and the press for this show in Mexico was absolutely incredible, man. El Grande Americano is immensely over in Mexico. And I want to talk about that too, man. I think, first and foremost, I want to give shout-outs to Taker. Taker is actually the main booker, or the head booker, for AAA. Which means he booked this matchup between El Grande and OG Americano. So I want to give, my hats off to Taker for booking this matchup. Number 2, man, I saw the press release, the pre-show, all the stuff that they did behind the scenes, whether it's, interviews and, El Grande, walking around with the fans of Mexico. Man, I can't tell you the fact that it's hard to describe the fact of how much, or how crazy I would say, that the way this match went, the fans' reaction to this match, the fact that both Chad Gable, or OG Americano, and El Grande just tore the house down in Monterrey, Mexico. And for a brand that, obviously AAA is not really super familiar with a lot of fans in America, I mean, it's true. The fact that WWE and the powers that be are trying to bring AAA into the eyes of the American fans of pro wrestling, I think they struck gold, man, with this matchup between El Grande and OG Americano. It's got a lot of people talking. To a point where, again, a lot of people are reiterating that this kind of gave off NXT Black and Gold vibes. And it's hard to really argue against that. The production value for this show, the storyline itself, man, I mean, if we're looking at the whole story here between OG Americano and El Grande Americano, I mean, bro, this kind of fell in Ludwig Kaiser's lap. Now, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, obviously, it's kind of been prevalent that El Grande Americano is Ludwig Kaiser. But the whole situation with Kaiser becoming El Grande Americano is it just kind of fell in his lap. I mean, you got to understand, Chad Gable was injured, which means seemingly it took OG Americano off TV for 8 months. So WWE, rather than just kind of killing the character with OG Americano, they revamped the character with Ludwig Kaiser, and he became El Grande Americano. So if you really think about it, I mean, Kaiser really turned this gimmick of El Grande Americano, I mean, he turned it in from chicken shit to chicken salad overnight. And the fact that we saw Chad Gable return, I believe, at the Rumble, And everybody was like, well, what the hell is going on? Obviously, there's some unfinished business here between Kaiser and Gable, or OG Americano and El Grande Americano. So when are we going to get this matchup here between these two luchadors, seemingly? And that's exactly what we got. We got that match in AAA, and those guys tore the house down, man. And like I said, with Kaiser, it just goes to show you that this was a gimmick that maybe a lot of people didn't think was going to work to get-go. Maybe a lot of people thought, hey, man, this is not going to work. This is going to fail. This gimmick's not getting over. And then you look at what he did in Monterrey, Mexico, and the fact that the entire, 13,000 people were chanting El Grande. I mean, hell, the crowd was pretty much serenading El Grande Americano in the middle of the ring. The press release for the show, the fact that he was doing media for the show in Mexico. I mean, the fans were following him around all through Mexico. I mean, hell, bro, it felt as if he was more over than Rey Mysterio. It was insane. And I think as a fan, it was something that it was great to see, number one. Number two, it was something that it just, the whole hype up of the match, man, having that comic book thing where they're like going through different scenarios of how this match came together, it was just, to me, it was very nostalgic, in my honest opinion, man. AAA, they did a hell of a job with putting this matchup together, man. Taker did a hell of a job booking this card from top to bottom, from Vikingo to Dr. Wagner Jr. to the War Raiders taking on Pagano and Psycho Clown, the Mass versus Mass match. I mean, this was a solid show and a great representation for AAA, hands down. To a point, for me as a fan, man, I'm excited to see Triple Mania coming up. It's a 2-night event. I believe it's like September 11th and September 13th. One night's going to be in Vegas. The other night's going to be in Mexico. I'm excited, man. I think AAA, they're really on to something here. And if they can, keep the momentum going after what they just did between El Grande Americano and OG Americano, AAA is going to be a force to be reckoned with, man, if they keep doing what they just did, to be honest with you. Because, honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, that AAA show might have stole the show for the weekend as far as other WWE events. Because this event went down the same weekend as Clash in Italy. And I got to say, this event might have took the cake over Clash in Italy, to be honest with you. And that's saying a lot, considering the fact that Clash in Italy, the entire card, is immensely stacked. I mean, this is WrestleMania 2.0 card kind of deal. So AAA, they came out the gate swinging, and they did not miss, man. They hit a grand slam with this matchup here between OG Americano and El Grande Americano. And now, I mean, El Grande Americano getting the win, beating Chad Gable. We don't know. I mean, Chad Gable made it a point to let people know that he wanted to come back to AAA and come back to Mexico to compete. I'm sure they'll welcome him back with open arms. But the biggest question now is where do we go with El Grande? In my honest opinion, El Grande and how much over he is right now in AAA, there's no doubt in my mind that Taker should not be entertaining the idea of booking a matchup here between El Grande Americano versus Dominic Mysterio for the AAA mega title. There's no way that we do not entertain that idea. Dom's a heel. El Grande is a immense babyface over in AAA. And to have El Grande somehow get over and beat Dominic Mysterio and become the new AAA Mega Champion, I mean, that place and that arena would erupt. And that's the match to make. There's also rumors of Penta versus Rey Mysterio. I'm going to be honest, bro. If we can push that match back to Triple Mania, I'm all for it. Penta defending the Intercontinental title in AAA against Rey Mysterio, absolutely. If we can push that match back for another couple months, I'm all for it. Now, I don't know if they're going to do that or not. I know, there's been, obviously with Rey being seemingly the new number one contender to Penta's Intercontinental title, I'm sure, WWE is going to book that match here sooner than later, considering the fact that Triple Mania is not until September. But, man, if we can push that match back, man, that's a great main event for either night one or night two. Penta and Rey, and then you on the other side of the fence, you also have possibility of Dominic defending the AAA Mega title against El Grande. Take my money. I don't know, man. I have this feeling that AAA is really onto something here, man. And like I said, they struck gold this past weekend with this event. Absolutely. From the mariachi bands to the classical music, that Mexican heritage, man. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. And the fact that, I mean, just the story alone between El Grande and OG Americano and how that finally came to fruition in this matchup. I can tell you right now that this was probably Kaiser's or El Grande Americano's best match to date so far in WWE, or AAA for that matter, hands down. Probably if not Chad Gable's best match as well. I mean, these guys tore the fucking house down. You know, and my thing is, after that, how do we keep that momentum going? To be honest with you. And they should be firing all cylinders after what they just did this past weekend with this event. Absolutely. With El Grande being at the helm of that. El Grande is a guy that's going to be a force to be reckoned with within AAA. Man, he is so over right now. To a point where I'm not trying to compare El Grande Americano to this specific luchador, but the vibe that I got for El Grande after he beat Chad Gable in this matchup and how the fans' reaction was before El Grande even started the match and when he finished the match, dude, this guy was getting El Santo vibes. Blue Demon Jr. vibes. I mean, absolute, like, legendary luchador type vibes. Blue Panther, you know what I mean? El Santo, Blue Demon. I mean, that's the vibe that El Grande was giving off as far as just the crowd reception, man. They fell in love with this guy. And they followed him around Mexico with the mariachi bands and the serenations and stuff like that. I mean, it was incredible to watch, man. It's just shit like that is the reason why you're a fan of pro wrestling. Because you get that great storyline, and I mean, a fantastic storyline, and then we get the main event. You know, we get both these contenders coming out to the ring and putting on a hell of a match, man, followed by a great story. And the way that ended, man, it was poetry in motion, man, the way that match ended. You know, Chad Gable sitting there with his family. You can tell he's upset. His family's upset as well. And the fact that he kind of handed over the torch to El Grande, letting him know, like, hey, you know, no matter what, everybody's going to know me as the original Americano. But from now on, you are El Grande. You are the Americano. You know, and Gable even said he wants to come back to Mexico. He wants to come back to AAA and compete. He doesn't know when or where, but he wants to come back to AAA. And I'm sure they'll welcome him back with open arms. I mean, Gable got a huge ovation from the crowd after he revealed himself with taking the mask off. So I'm all for it, man. I think, honestly, you know, if they do it correctly, this could be something that could be big business for AAA. Absolutely. If they keep doing what they just did this past weekend, AAA would have to be in the conversation as a top promotion, in my opinion. Like I said, man, the aesthetics, the way the stage looked, the way the crowd were, 13,000 people. The stage structure was awesome. The camera angles were great. They told a hell of a story, man. I can't stress this enough that I wish the main roster, and hell, even AEW for that matter, told any kind of story remotely close to what we got here between El Grande and OG Americano. Because if that's the case, it'd be a whole different ball game for the main roster in WWE, especially in AEW. Especially with AEW, because seemingly they can't tell a story to save their goddamn lives. So, if they can tell a story similar to what we got here between OG Americano and El Grande, this is a whole different ballgame, folks. 100%. And honestly, man, I'm excited for the future for AAA. I really am. I'm excited for the future for AAA. I'm excited for the future of El Grande Americano. And to be honest with you, if I was El Grande Americano, I wouldn't even entertain the idea of going back to the main roster on Raw and SmackDown. I mean, I would stay my ass in AAA. Why not? Your bread right now is buttered in AAA, man. You are so over in AAA. It is unbelievable. And that's the other thing, too, man. Just the fan reaction to El Grande. It was then and gone. I mean, it happened like literally, to me, it felt like it was overnight. That the fans just gravitated towards El Grande Americano, man. It was just absolutely incredible to see, man. He's walking around. He's holding the Mexican flag. He's singing with the fans. You know, to a point where he ended up showing up at an event for, I guess, the press release for the show. And he walked into this arena, and, I mean, El Grande literally sat there and broke down. Man, this guy is in tears from just the fans' reaction and the fact that the fans fell in love with El Grande Americano, man. He literally lost it. He lost his shit. He started breaking down. He started crying. There was just great you could tell how much emotion this guy had, not only for the fans, but for this matchup. And the fact that this was going to be a moment for his career. And this moment that he had against Chad Gable is going to be a moment in his career that's going to last the rest of his life. And he wanted to give it everything that he had. And I think both these guys gave it everything they absolutely had to give us fans one of the best matches that we've seen in a very long time. So, yeah, I'm super thrilled with AAA. I'm not going to sit here and say that, hey, you love the show, now you're going to cover it every single weekend. I'm not saying that. But what I will say is this, and I told you guys this, I believe, last week or the week prior to that. Friday Night SmackDown, man, it's rough to watch. It's 3 hours. I know, it's going back to 2 hours. Yeah, it's going to go back to 2 hours here relatively soon. For me, it's something where I watch SmackDown, bro, and it's so mind-numbing. It's lifeless. It's absolutely fucking boring. And I told you guys that I'm entertaining the idea of, maybe bringing in NWA or covering NWA Power or bringing back some classic events to do some reviews on those. I'm not going to sit here and rule out AAA. I'm not. But what I will say is this. I am entertaining the idea when the time comes to do a full review for AAA's Triple Mania. I'll say that. I'm excited for the card. Hopefully the card is going to be absolutely stacked from top to bottom. Triple Mania is AAA's biggest event of the year. So I'm excited for that. Hopefully they can put on an amazing card. And if it's anything close to what we got here between El Grande Americano and OG Americano, man, that Triple Mania should be absolutely insane with the matches on that card. So, look, man, for what it's worth, I'm excited for AAA. I'm excited for the future of AAA. And I'm excited for El Grande, man, and what's next, to be honest with you. But if I was him, I would not even remotely entertain the idea of coming back to wrestle on Monday Night Raw, man. I would stay in AAA, bro. Your bread is buttered. The fans love you. And, at this point, man, he is the biggest babyface probably right now in all of AAA. I would not even entertain or even sniff the idea of going back to Monday Night Raw, man. Ain't no fucking way. And hopefully it pays off for him, man. Like I said, this was something where when you look at the character alone, this is turning chicken shit into chicken salad, literally. Nobody thought this shit was going to work. Nobody thought this gimmick was going to work, or anybody would even give a shit about the gimmick. And then we get this matchup here between El Grande and OG Americano, man, and El Grande is so over. The fans were chanting El Grande. You had the classical music. It was just a great moment, man. You had the mariachi bands. It was awesome. It was awesome. And for those people out there saying, man, this had a lot of vibes similar to, the old school NXT Black and Gold days, I'm going to be honest, man, it's hard for me to argue against that after what we just saw this past weekend, to be honest with you, man. The production was great. The camera angles were great. And the overall just production alone of this show, man, was absolutely top notch. So I look forward to see what's next for AAA. I look forward to Triple Mania as well. Hopefully it's going to be a stacked card. Triple Mania is probably, I think, September, so we got a little bit of time, a couple months until we get the Triple Manias. But I'm excited, man. I'm definitely excited. And who knows, bro, after, what El Grande did to OG Americano, is it time? Is Taker going to actually book El Grande Americano versus Dominic Mysterio for the AAA Mega Championship, man? That'd be one hell of a match to see, and I'll be right here to watch that match, man, because I can tell you right now, that's going to be one hell of a match between Dominic Mysterio and El Grande Americano. But with that being said, though, again, man, this was a really good show. From top to bottom, it was a great show. And again, man, this is something that I'm definitely entertaining to review from here on out, man. I'm not 100% sure yet. Like I said, I try to be 100% honest and upfront with you guys. But I tell you what, man, after seeing this show, I don't know, man. AAA might be cooking with some gas here after what we just saw this past weekend. So, like I said, I'm excited for Triple Mania. We got a couple months until we get to Triple Mania. And I'm excited to see what's next for El Grande Americano, man. And like I said, maybe, just maybe, we might get that Dominic Mysterio versus El Grande Americano match for the AAA Mega Championship. But with that being said, though, this is my review of AAA's Noche de los Grandes. I hope you guys are out there staying safe. Be careful, and remember, stay classic. Peace.